Second level of communication. Third is between the sales team and the trade. So that's when I was saying that marketing really cannot make sales redundant, or sales cannot make marketing redundant. Because even if it's a good tasting product and the retailer tomorrow says that I'm not going to keep it, you can't do anything about it. There's a very strong dependency on the relationship that the trade has, that the customer, that the sales team has with the retailer, that helps in driving the product. You know why? Because most of the shops, they have limited space. And if every company keeps on launching new products, they're going to, give away or remove one particular item from their whole portfolio and introduce this. So it's not a very easy thing to do. So you have to go and convince them. You need to have a certain degree of relationship with them. And then you go and convince them. And that's how this whole, the flow works right from new product development to it reaching to the market. So some idea as to what sales does and what marketing does. Brief, थोड़ा बहुत, ठीक है? Any confusion, any doubts till now? Yeah, please.
What is the function of brand management?
I'm sorry?
What is the function of brand management team? Brand management.
Okay, so once the product is ready, right, then you have to decide in what pack are you going to sell it. So the R&D says that okay, it can be sold in a PET or a glass format. So then you decide what's going to be the size. Is it going to be a 300 ml or a 600 ml or a 1 liter? What is the price going to be? 4-piece product price promotion in place. They decide. So if it's a new launch or if it's a big launch, there would be a celebrity would be involved. So they'll then sit down to decide who is the celebrity going to be. And then there's negotiation that happens with the celebrity as to which ad, how many ads and stuff like that. So they do everything from coming out with the product to its packaging, to its placement, deciding where it's going to be placed, and also how it's going to be marketed. What's going to be the story behind the brand? Is it going to be a brand for the youth, or is it going to be for people who are health conscious, or is it going to be for kids? The whole positioning of the brand. That's what's decided by the brand team.
And then marketing also decides the trade marketing.
This one?
Yeah.
No, trade marketing. They basically come out with retail initiatives. Retail initiatives are basically of two types. You have something called as a QPS or a QPDS. A QPS is a quantity purchase scheme. A QPDS is a quantity display purchase scheme. Like in the case of most of the new launches, what we see is there's a lot of resistance in the trade to accept a new product because they're not sure if it's going to do well. So we tie up with the retail with some kind of a 1 month or 2 kind of a retail program, wherein we say, okay, this is a new product. In the next 2 months, you sell so many cases, and if you sell so many cases, I'll give you an incentive. Or if it's a QPDS, because in the case of a new launch, we always go for a QPDS, we say that you have to place it behind, say in your showcase or on the top of the fridge or say in the rack or something like that. Keep it for 2 months, do the targets, then I'll give you this. In some cases, the trade marketing, if they have good amount of money, they might also put up signages in the store. You see the signages outside the store, it says a Pepsi or whatever, a Mirinda or a 7-Up, right? So that's decided by the trade marketing team. How are you going to go and sell it in the store? Like what might work in Bombay may not work in Gujarat, right? So a brand manager cannot decide that. A guy in the field is the best person who can decide that.
Yeah. And sales and trade marketing, if they do retail relations and stuff like that.
They don't do relations. They just design. They feel that मेरे market में ये चलता है. मेरे market में I've seen. Like see in Bombay, it's really difficult to put up signages because there's a huge amount of tax that you have to pay to the BMC for those signages. Gujarat is much simpler. Gujarat में उतना problem नहीं होता है. So a trade market manager in Gujarat may say that okay, I'll put signages here. The guy in Bombay will say signages is too expensive for me. I won't put signages. What I'll do is I'll do a QPDs. I'll do this in that time karunga. Where the sales team then comes in this, they'll say, okay, this fellow will say that do it in 50 outlets. Okay, he won't be able to decide which 50 outlets. Okay, depending on whatever budgets he has, he'll say I'll do it in 50 outlets, tie up with 50 outlets first. Sales team has to go and decide which 50 outlets because they also have a target to deliver. So they'll go to the largest grocer, they'll go to the largest hotel, they'll tie up with them. That's when relationship becomes really important, right? And suppose it's a big launch and there's some 200, 300 stores to be listed, a sales manager or his team cannot go to every outlet. You have to depend on the salesperson to go and do it. Then you need to train that person. You know, क्या जाके बोलोगे? Because it might so happen that you might tie up and say that I'll give you 500 rupees at the end of the month, wo jaake 5,000 bol diya, then you're gone. So you have to be like very clear as to what the communication needs to be. So there's a lot of coaching that happens. You do a lot of role plays, like so we have these gate meetings. So these gate meetings, so a CE will behave like the retailer, the other CE will be standing. CE is a customer executive who basically takes care of the sales force. So they'll do a lot of role plays and decide ki, they'll do it in front of the PSR ki aap aise jaoge, aise bologe, this is what you can give. There'll be a trade bulletin that is gone and that is given to the retailer. So that everything is crystal clear to everybody that how it's going to work. That's where the sales thing comes in. A trade manager cannot decide which store and all. He'll just say 50 stores, 60 stores. Okay, that's how it works.
It's more execution.
It's more execution. It is execution. That is the main thing. See, if everything's going right here, right, and this collapses, it's going to be a big flop. Trust me, it's going to be a big flop. Even if the product is not so great, but if it's well executed, it might still do well. At least it will give those first 2-3 rounds, and then it might just come down a little bit. But this is the key thing. If this doesn't work, all the efforts that you put in here just go waste. So it's very important that this last piece, the execution piece, I'm glad you said that word execution because that is the main thing in sales. If you don't execute, that's the main thing for a lot of other functions also. If you don't execute well, you lose everything. Yeah.
I want to understand how does advertising fit into this entire chain and to what, because most of the big companies they have advertising agencies as partners. To what extent are the ideas given from the company and to what extent do you guys accept the ideas from the advertising agency? Because they can have their own insights and they come up with their own insights, give it back to you guys. So how does that function?
What he basically wants to understand is how big is your role in deciding whether you need an Aishwarya Rai or a Deepika. Fair?
Okay, so when it comes to brand, it depends to a very large extent on the brand manager. Some brand managers believe that it's their brief, that's the final thing. Youth brand hai, isko bechna hai, I want a male hero, I want him to be all macho guys, bike hona chahiye, this is how we're going to sell it. Some brand managers are pretty okay with accepting what the advertiser has to say because they also have the point of view. They can say, this may not work, you may have to do it this way. So there's a lot of discussion that happens back and forth before they finally decide as to how it's going to be positioned. So the broad positioning comes from the whole insight survey that we get. That we have seen that men in the age group of 20 to 40 are liking this more than say teenagers or people over 40. And that's when you decide how it's going to be positioned. And these results are shared with the brand, with the advertisers that this is what the research says and this is what we feel it's going to be. And they might have their own point of view, so that's how it works. And the brand call is something that happens at a much more senior level. Like, I think that's, so Pepsico the way it's structured, we have India region which reports into Dubai, and I think it's taken at a Dubai and a very senior India level call. So that's how it works.
Sure. On the reporting structure in this.
I'll come.
What exactly is the sales force?
I'll come to the whole sales force structure.
Basically, the brand manager who coordinates with the ad side.
With the
Ad agency, the brand manager.
Yeah, brand manager.
So,
Yeah.
is it required that a person understands sales completely in order to understand marketing? Because the very first we find is attitude.
Correct. Yes, it is. It is very important, mainly from what he had said, execution. Right. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. It had happened when I was a management trainee, and there was this. When you also launch, there are a lot of incentives that are given. Incentives given to the sales team so that the salesperson so that he goes and sells more in the outlet. So there was a new it wasn't a new launch. They were given some targets, and they were told that if you go and achieve this target, you and your wife go for a movie. All movie tickets, food, and everything sponsored. Okay, and this was about 8 years back. And multiplexes and all were just coming in, so people were damn kicked about it. Yeah, it was बहुत अच्छा होगा यार. Since you are normally they will not be able to afford to go to a multiplex, they will go to a single screen. तो उसके लिए तो it's going to be a good thing. And trust me, it took off really well. People really liked it, and then a lot of people tried to win the incentives. Once the contest got over, right, and then we sent the people out for the movie, and when they came back, they were really upset. And we asked them why the movie wasn't good. They said, "The movie was good." I said, "Upset क्यों है?" He said, "साहब, मैं मेरी बीवी को तो आपने किया, मेरे 3 बच्चे हैं, उनको घर पे थोड़ी ना छोड़ सकते, उनको भी लेके जाना पड़ा, उनको भी खिलाना पड़ा, तो मेरे सारे पैसे खर्च हो गए." Right? That is why exposure to sales really helps you, because when you're working at the grassroots level, you know what are the things that's going to work for these guys. Initially, sometimes a lot of things will sound very interesting, but when you actually roll it out, that's when you face the difficulties. You know, like I said, a trade marketing manager will say that 50 पेटी का डिस्प्ले लगा दो सब जगह पे, and do a mega display of tea cases. But in a place like Bombay, 50 cases is not possible. You get 5 cases in the store, that's like the best you can get. And you get to know about this when you're actually there in the field and you face the practical difficulties in rolling out promotions. That's when you will be able to design more better promotions, right? Suppose tomorrow you come out with a pack, and it's a big pack. It takes away a lot of space in the store. It could give you very good scores in the sampling and the insights, because normally क्या होता है, you give it to a consumer and say कि कैसा है, it says looks good, feels good, nice product. But when you place it in the store, suppose the design is such that you can't stack it. Okay, and you have to place everything in, say, the ground level itself. It's not going to do well. You have to have some kind of an exposure. You have to know what is the thing that motivates a salesperson. You have to know what motivates a retail. You have to know how do shoppers buy. It's only then you will be able to come out with very, very good campaigns. Right? That's why field sales is really important. Any more? Okay, so I'll quickly go on to the sales structure. I'll start with the sales structure first, and then I'll come to marketing. Right? So sales, can somebody say who's the most important person in the whole sales hierarchy?
Salesman.
Sales? Salesperson. It is. Like they say, Alexander the Great once, when he was going to attack